Sources of Inkwell, live on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. You can check out this broadcast a number of ways. You can go to Facebook, you can go to Twitter, you can go to YouTube, you can go to TuneIn Radio, you can go to KUAW.org, and you can go to Roku, and you can go to, I believe, Apple.
Yeah.
Apple as well, too.
Yeah.
All you got to do is type, and who else?
Fire Stick.
And Fire Stick. Fire Stick, so we'll be on TV. So all you gotta do is type in No.
Just the audio.
Not yet, just audio. All you gotta do is type in KUAW radio or KUAW and we'll pop right up. You'll be able to see us on some of those mods. You'll be able to just listen to us on the other ones. And on some you can do both. And also you can interact as well too. You can also go to 816-599-6893. That's our phone number. Call in and you can interact with myself and our guest. Now, I'm glad I have my show back. Last week, my students took over RMS Radio, and I definitely want to shout those kids out because they did an excellent show. They had a high-profile guest as a judge, and they did an excellent job putting the judge on the hot seat, and it was amazing. It was a good back and forth, a good banter between the two, and he was interested in coming back because he actually sat here in the show and watched the kids continue to go. But now I got the reins back. It feels good to be back in my own seat. I have a very, very special guest. I've been knowing this guest a long time in different areas, different arenas. But for those of you who don't know, I would like my guest to introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. I am Sherry Purpose Hall. I am running for 3rd District City Council in District.
In District.
In District. Yes.
And the good thing about this broadcast is the WB Voice Learning Center, which houses KUAW Radio.
Absolutely. 3rd District.
Constituents
Absolutely.
in regards to who you are and what your platform is.
Yes.
So I know you, but let's kind of go back in time and let individuals who don't know who you are to get a nice little background of who Miss Sherry Purpose Hall is.
Absolutely. As I said, I am Sherry Purpose Hall. So back in time would mean that you met me when I was just a budding poet. Out here in these Kansas City streets, performing, doing art for various multiple entities and things like that. During that time, I was also working with grassroots organizations, working out in the community. I've actually always been a part of that. But before the time that you met me, I used to work with Washington Wheatley Neighborhood Association because that's where I lived. Was going to school at UMKC, learned a little bit about the politics, a little bit about City Hall at that time, and was kind of shocked, awed, amazed. I don't know. I would love to actually canvass and survey people as to what their reaction the first time they had interactions at City Hall on a political level. That would be interesting.
I know mine was.
Very interesting.
Very.
But I digress. So I come from that, have a psychology and sociology background. I am a mental health advocate, and we currently at the nonprofit that I run, Poetry for Personal Power, we use evidence-based practices to provide non-clinical behavioral health to people who need it in Missouri, Kansas, and Colorado, along with evidence-based practices looking at the effect of arts on mental health. So we sponsor artists to put on events, shows, and things like that, and then they put out their evaluations to ask people how you felt before the art experience and how you felt after. And with that data, we take it, strengthen programs, and continue to provide that kind of health to increase people's resilience, asking them how do they overcome adversity. So that is the world I come from. It is very much a peer world, peer driven. It is very much lived experience. It is very much give people resources, take them by the hand. Okay, this is how I did it. Here are resources. I need you to go forth. So it's kind of showing the way, but not doing it for people.
Yes. And it sounds like that you are of the people as well, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's very rare that you see an individual who wants to represent people who's from that same pool of people, but also that same pool of understanding of the people, too.
You have to have a certain understanding of people. My story isn't pretty. I am not your poster child politician. I am not so she never did nothing her whole life, went to college, graduated with all these honors, and then immediately catapulted into some service position that was elected. That is not my story.
Right.
Even getting to where I am running a nonprofit, and I actually have two, that was God. I can't even. Having all these skills from the background, having them come together. I never thought that I would have been doing mental health and arts. I actually went to school for pre-law, so I wasn't even supposed to be mental health and arts. But my background, to know some of those underpinnings where I come from a single mother, single parent household, only child, very much working poor. Family. As a matter of fact, one time my mom applied for food stamps and they told her she was 25 cents over.
25 cents.
25 whole cents.
Wow.
And that's when I was a kid. My grandparents came here, one from Jeff City, one from the South, Creole. And I used to have the pictures of the French people from, before my grandmother. And they were sharecroppers. So when we talk about things that have plagued our city, why our city is the way it is, or why our living in America is the way that it is, and we act like certain things are so far removed or far gone, they're really not, because I touched my grandmother who touched sharecropping. Sharecropping is just one generation away from slavery.
Exactly.
Right? Her mother was it. So we really are not that far removed from anything. So I come from that where I know the soil. I can grow and plant and cultivate in it. I was taught how to sow. That is my background where I come from. So I know how to make something out of nothing. I was raised to do such things. You move forward a little further. Yeah, I was outside for a little while, acted up some, like most folk. Had my time out there, and the father of my two girls actually was murdered while I was 6 months pregnant with the second one. Still living in 3rd District. Then to finish, dealt with addiction in my family, dealt with my own body being broken. Because, anybody who knows me, I had chronic pain for about 20 years after a pelvis injury. So all of this background, and I could continue to go, shapes my view and the way that I deal with people and the way that I look at policy and the way that I approach needs that real people have. Right.
And you said the key word. You said real people.
Yeah.
And one thing that politicians need to understand is that we are real people. We're not just a vote. We're not just a number. We're not just, hey, look, I represent all these people here.
Right.
And one thing I can say from what I've observed, being as non-biased as possible, is I do actually see you out there with the people. Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that you have this this degree in sociology. Is that what you said?
I studied sociology
and psychology, right? And you also an art, work with the arts.
Yes.
You run nonprofits. Now, what made you want to do the shift into politics?
So I'd always wanted to run for city council. I don't know what happened as a kid that I was like, yes, city council. As a matter of fact, I remember the first time I went to a neighborhood association meeting in Santa Fe, met Mary Williams Neal. Hi, I want your job. Just crazy stuff. When I was 15, though, the school board was in the process of closing schools. And my first real political action or stance, outside of writing and talking about things, because if anybody knows anything, arts is activism, period. Whether it's comedic, whatever it is, even to lift the furrowed brow, it is still yet activism. But my first real political action outside is going to school board meetings, standing at the school board, fighting for my school to stay open, being outspoken, being on the superintendent special committee and all this kind of thing. That was my first real political action. And since then, I just had this great admiration for public servants. I knew at that time that this was an act of service, that these people were public servants, because I would stand there and they're taking my little young 15-year-old tongue lashing, right? But I'm looking at these parents and these community members, and I'm watching the heavy crown on the head. I'm like, dang, they take a lot. But they gonna get this work though. Like,
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still gonna come, and I've seen it as that. So I know what arena I'm stepping into. Like, even if the people like you, even if they favor you, you still gonna get this work. You gonna hear what they have to say.
Yes.
So being from a background in career field where I have to listen, 2 ears, 1 mouth. That's the philosophy on politics. 2 ears, 1 mouth.
Wow. Yeah.
And read things.
I hope the people in Washington are listening to this broadcast.
Yeah.
2 ears, 1 mouth, because you see a lot of the reverse with that. And people need to be listened to. And as a matter of fact, in this particular district, so much has went on in the third. Like, I'm just thinking about the situation years ago, what really is still going on with the oil companies over here, the gas stations.
Yeah.
You know, the people weren't really being listened to.
Right.
You know, so I think the fact that you making that remark, making that comment, making that profound statement can be seen as a comfort piece, because how many individuals can say, well, hey, look, she speaks for me. She's listening to me.
Yeah.
You know, she's my mouthpiece.
And I mean, so I'm a fan of modalities, multiple modalities for service user input. And the citizens of Kansas City are service users. They are my peers, right? Multiple modalities, meaning, okay, yeah, we can have the town hall, we can have the Zoom, we can have the survey, we can have the face-to-face and the one-on-one, we can have the phone calls, we can have the letters, we can have them put in things online, like the multiple modalities to pick up feedback, because that's also how you keep communities and people engaged. But that's also a way that we can listen to them and listen to one another. Right.
Now, for those who are listening, we keep saying the third district, third.
Yeah.
Let's tell people what the boundaries are so they can know.
Sure.
Yeah.
So third district is on the east all the way, let's say, pushing 435. So if you go even all the way out to Walmart, that's still third district. On the west, the line meanders a little bit between Troost and Gillum, around that border. On the north side, you're looking at like Independence Avenue, and on the south end, it meanders some more like 47th, 51st. Well, traveling from east to west, like 51st around down to 47th.
Okay.
So it's a huge area.
Yeah, it is a huge area. So, yeah, and the fact that this area is so huge now, you mentioned in district and out district as well, too. You're also running, well, your counterpart is out of district.
Yeah, at large.
Well, yes, right, at large, yeah. Well, I live in another municipality, so it's a little different. But, yeah, at large.
Yeah.
And your partner would be?
Brandon Ellington.
Okay. And Mr. Ellington has been city councilman for a little while.
Yeah.
And how does it feel running with someone who has a heavy resume as Ellington?
First off, I'm grateful to God to be able to have regular conversations and gain knowledge from someone who has been there. The first thing that people need to really recognize is that anybody who runs for political office, first time running, you haven't been in this position before. And it doesn't matter if you came from another position. It doesn't matter if you came from school board, that you came from state representative, you came from wherever else you came from. You've never been a city council person before.
Exactly.
So to have another city council person to be able to talk to, bounce things off of, understand what has gone on the inside for the last 4 years. What have you seen? What made you vote the way that you do is really a gift.
It is.
It's really a gift.
It is.
That doesn't say that I won't form my own opinions, form my own, because I have my own priorities and different things on policy, because I'm the one going for the job. I'm going in there to do something for my community from what I see from my point of view. And he is in there doing his. But it's still yet a blessing to have that resource to be able to ask, to run with, to even just sit and listen, like, hey, this is what's happened. And the way that he is, it's not even necessarily a campaign that he's doing. He's going out just giving the people information of what's going on for the last 4 years. On the last, I'm going to say 5 campaign stops that I have been with him, he is literally talking, this is why this happened. This is what passed. This is how much money was put here. This is how much money was put into this developer's hand. This is what happened here. And then people asking questions. What can we do about the trash? 2 bags ain't enough. Okay. Hey, I need y'all to come in on this date, and so that we can stand together. And there are council people who side with you.
Right.
You know, so he has that intel as well. Like, hey, how are the rest of the council members thinking? Because it takes 7 to pass anything. There's 12 council members. It takes 7 to pass anything. And if anything I've learned from watching things, you better learn how to make some friends in there as well.
Yes. Yes.
If you need something to happen for your district, for your city, for your way, make some friends. But also operate in the integrity of your position. And I think what he does well is operate in the integrity of his position.
He definitely does. He definitely does. And I think you made a good point that he is someone that's been in it before.
Yeah.
And you're running with someone that's been in it. So it's like you're not coming in with 2 people new at the same time.
Right.
So you'll come in with, hey, okay, so this is a model. And I can model my stuff off of what you're doing. Or I can bounce ideas off of you.
Right.
Now, excuse me, it's asthma, not COVID. We mentioned earlier that this is new. And with this being new comes with challenges.
Absolutely.
So what challenges have you encountered coming into this new venture?
Well, you know what? I don't mind being completely transparent because, number one, first and foremost, I encourage anybody out there to be politically involved.
Yeah.
And being politically involved does not just mean running for office. It doesn't just mean that. There are several committees that you can serve on, several commissions that you can be a part of. Heck, you can just make yourself available to come to city council meetings in person or other committee meetings in person. Being politically involved is important. That's number one. But number two, the challenge is you decide you want to be politically involved. You decide you want to come on in. Great. You've got a lot to learn. You've got a lot to learn like this. Everybody expects you to know everything right now at the speed of action. Right? So the example, just to let y'all know some of the political process. So you want to run for whatever. Now you have your groups, your unions, your nonprofits who are going to come, and they're going to want you to speak at forums. Cool. Yes, I agree to the date. All right. Now they're going to send you a questionnaire. Questionnaire, depending on the group, could be 4 questions. Could be 30. Asking essay answers, asking very specific things, some of them even as if you have already been in the position. Hey, you better be resourceful. In the day and age of Google, in the day and age of technology, that isn't as hard as it probably would have been before. You know, now, again, encouraging people to be politically involved. How do I find answers to different things? Yes, I've paid attention over the years. I know what I've talked to people about, what I've seen in my district, and what I've seen across the entirety of Kansas City, because ultimately, yes, I'm running in district, which means only people inside of 3rd district can vote for me. But when I sit on that council, I sit amongst 12 people who are making decisions for the entire city. So not only do I need to know about 3rd district, I do need to know about the entire city. Hey, I believe the site is municode.com or .org. Don't quote me on that, but it's a quick Google. You can look up every municipal ordinance in the city.
Yeah.
You can dig into them. Going on the City of Kansas City website, you can even open different links, look at people's voting records.
Yeah, that's important.
It's very important.
Yes.
Because the thing is, I'm not going to badger you on why you voted no or yes. I'm not going to badger you. I'm going to ask you why. Why? Why'd you vote yes on this? If I feel like, even if I feel like it's potential, whatever I feel about it, why did you vote yes on this? I had to vote yes on this to get that. Okay, what did that get us? Being able to follow the trail of what has happened so that you can look at how you need to move forward or not reinvent the wheel or not repeat something from the past. That is one of the most challenging aspects because it is time consuming. And like I said, people want you to have the answer at the speed of now. Now, considering that I am a person who has taught Sunday school, Bible study, I work in that realm as well. I am not a conventional servant in that if you ask me a question, I'm going to be honest and say I don't know. But it doesn't stop at I don't know. I don't know, but I can look that up.
Yes, that's an educator answer right there.
I can research that. I don't want to blow smoke. And I understand that the game of politics is smoke and mirrors, that you have to look polished all the time, that you look on all the time. I'm wanting to bring some humanity to it and let people know it's okay to be here because honestly, some of the most polished speakers, okay, I'm going to give this answer in the back of their mind, they're freaking out. It's time out for the disconnect. Let's be honest. But fortunately, what these questionnaires do, back to that whole political process, you get to looking through, you get to researching, and outside of what I had already researched, now I'm broadening the knowledge base. Now I'm going back more years to see, okay, well, what the cause and effect of this and the cause and effect of that, because we all learn American history. We learn what happened from, the Reagan era to this, to that. Yeah, we can speak very astutely about it and how it affected even local municipalities. But what we don't learn in schools is the history of our city and our laws and our ordinances and what affects us. And honestly, your local politics is probably more important and impactful than your national politics.
Yes.
So for our people who say, hey, I'm going to vote in the next presidential election, all the people who support that, all the people who make up that Senate, that representative, the House, all the people who make up all those functions, all those people who even serve at the state, those people are the whole influence all the way up there. So if you're only voting at the presidential level, you're missing the entire boat, wondering why your property tax is up or why even the tax on your box of cigarettes is up. Yeah. Whatever matters to you, you know what I'm saying? No tea, no shade. But whatever matters to you in your area, hey, why do we have 3% tax on marijuana when I can go to the dude around the corner and get it without tax? You might want to vote in your local election to be a part of that process.
Yeah, because you're right, because excuse me, the local elections are what will affect us a lot closer and a lot quicker than most national elections. And really, you're supposed to vote in all, but you're right. Local is vote vote them all, but local definitely, because this is immediate. This is right here. I mean, you will get this quicker. And if people don't believe that, when we have the COVID ordinances and everything, the mayor got on TV and said, no. And then right then and there, no. Yeah.
Immediately.
It was immediate, Yeah. So, I mean, it's you made some very profound point. And then you said something earlier about humanity.
Yeah.
Having that humanity piece goes back to what you were saying earlier about having integrity in your position.
Yeah.
And you got to have that if you want to connect with the people.
Absolutely. It's not about being relatable. It's about relating your experiences to what people are going on and having some empathy. Right.
Yeah, because you made a key word. You said empathy. Now, in my classroom, sometimes we teach persuasion and persuasive appeals.
Absolutely.
And I remember we were looking around, and one of them came up. It was plain folks. And the kid said, Mr. Gethers, what's plain folks? I said, well, plain folks is when you kind of, blend in with the people. I said, Personally, I think plain folks is a nice way of slumming. And they was like, well, what do you mean by that? I said, well, let me give you a picture. I said, president comes to the city, and he's talking to working class people. He takes off his suit jacket and rolls up his sleeves.
Yeah.
That little gesture.
And puts his foot up on the chair. Let's
Exactly.
not forget that part.
Right. Yeah. That little gesture.
He's gonna eat a sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I said, you don't. I said, is that not connecting? No. I said, I got one for you. I said, look at what you got on. Tell me what you're wearing. And they said, well, I'm wearing jeans. I'm wearing a graphic tee. I said, what shoes are you wearing? Jordans, of course. I said, yeah, Jordans, of course. I said, that's what you wear, and that's what people around you wear, right?
Right.
They said, yeah. I said, now, if I wore that, how would that look? It'd be cool. I said, but it fits you. I said, right. I said, what about Mr. Such and Such, the guy around the corner in the building? They said, yeah. He got a pair of ones, too, don't he? They said, yeah, but he don't know how to wear them. I said, that's what I'm talking about. Plain folks. He's wearing those shoes.
Yeah.
He's dressing a certain way. He's saying a certain thing in order to make it seem like he's blending in. But what did you just say? It don't look right.
Right.
That's what a lot of politicians do. They don't look right trying to fit in with a certain group of people for a vote because their integrity's off.
Right.
And they was like, oh, there it is.
Light bulb.
Light bulb. And if those of you who are listening right now and watching, I think I probably just gave a light bulb comment to you all right there because how many times have you went to an election or how many times was someone trying to get your vote and it just didn't fit? The candidate did not fit. You know, that's why it's so important that you have an in-district person that's, like you said, born and raised in district who knows the problems in district, which leads to the next question.
Sure.
Asthma. Now, in district, what issues do you see within the district right now?
Number 1, blight.
Blight.
Number 2, affordable housing. Number 3, infrastructure improvements that are needed. Was I not counting right? I said number 1, number 2, and then I said number 2 again. Okay.
No. We on 3.
I said 3?
Yeah,
Okay,
you did,
okay.
You did.
I'm trying to make
I got
sure.
You. That's Inkwell. I'm with you. I got you.
Number 4, employment, jobs, and not just jobs, good jobs. I'm going to say number 5, and these, I put them in this order for a reason. Number 5, violence. Okay?
Okay.
And the reason I put them in this order, a lot of times we make a habit of attacking violence first, rather than attacking the lack of opportunity.
Okay.
Rather than attacking lack. People often, I've been caught saying it, well, you wouldn't get this kind of treatment and blah, 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 and here and there and blah, 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 blah. And then you look at the place we're talking about, and that's the place where a lot of people may commute to work. There's opportunity there. Eventually, after working there, they move. There's flight. And while out there working, they're able on their lunch break, let's just call a thing. You know, I used to work at the Sprint campus in Overland Park, right? I go to Overland Park on my lunch break. I can Christmas shop.
Sure can.
There's so much, not just opportunity, but there are now resources out there. And now I'm out here and I'm turning my dollar in their neighborhood.
Yes.
Rather than my own. That's a problem.
Big problem. And I was smiling as you were going through the list, not because I think it's humorous, no, but the fact that I was able to ask you what problems do you see, and right there, boom, you got it.
Because I grew up in it.
Exactly. Because you not only do you see the problems, you've experienced them. You're living through them. You're stepping in them, right?
Yeah.
And that goes back to the integrity. Because if someone came up to you and said, hey, what do you think about violence or infrastructure? You can give a legit, relatable, honest answer because you know about it.
Yeah.
You're aware of it.
I mean, the other part of that, and I honestly For me, I lump the issue of violence in with our missing women
Okay.
because I'm sorry, you can't convince me something hasn't happened to these women. You just can't. Someone 25-year-old just disappear. Just in, what was it, October? You know, had someone running out of the house screaming because they were being held against their will. This woman was reported missing. Oh, she really didn't just go away. No, somebody had her. The number of missing is a serious issue, and it has to be looked at. Our violence issue is a serious issue, and it has to be mitigated. But I feel like the answer is providing opportunity, providing that good housing, providing where people feel safe and welcome in their community. And when people talk about crime, they always look immediately to young black men.
They do.
That's a problem.
They do.
That's
Yes.
a problem. Because number one, it ain't always them. Number two, sagging pants ain't killed nobody. Quit focusing there. You know what I'm saying? Focus on the lack of opportunity. Why is this person out here like this? What have they seen? With regards to mental health background, it is our culture. We don't ask what's wrong with you. We ask what happened to you. What happened? Did you grow up seeing domestic violence and this is why you behave the way you do? Did you grow up feeling disrespected as a man and now you feel disrespected as a grown man? There is a study done by Dr. Grace DeJoy. Dr. Grace DeGruy. I butchered that name. Dr. Grace DeGruy. And she created this measurement of respect in adolescence because in her practice of talking to young black men, she found out that a lot of the issues stem from feeling disrespected. But disrespect comes in a variety of ways. So she developed this instrument to give, and what she found is like, yeah, the most violent had the highest level of feeling disrespect. And I bet if I were to look qualitatively, let's just, talk real on real here. When you see and grow up and see adverse things in your home, when you see your mother struggling, when you see something happening to your sister, and you're 8, your hands only reach this far.
Yeah.
Not only do you feel helpless, but you grow up now that was disrespectful.
Yes, and you're touching very close to home because with a lot of my students, I have a lot of black males. As a black man myself,
Yeah.
I've noticed that in situations where I don't want to say, aggressive, not physically, but verbally or emotionally, is because I felt disrespected.
Absolutely.
And it's so easy for people to disrespect people of color.
Yeah.
So easy. So easy. Now, back to problems, which is huge.
Yeah.
Why do you think these problems are still problems within your district?
I believe these problems are still problems. Number one, we just gonna be completely 100 about it.
Yes.
Because we don't hold our local officials accountable. Let's start there. If more of us were showing up, speaking out, holding those, because we hold public servants to such a high, it's not a high standard that we're holding them to, but it's a pedestal.
Yeah.
Once we put them in there on that pedestal, it's like, okay, you're cool, you're sitting there, great, I can go back to my daily life. We need more engagement. We need more people involved. We need more with their eyes on it, able to look, able to read, because once you start holding some stuff accountable, people know that they can't get away with it. Number two, I believe that some efforts have been stifled. I think the the way that sometimes we go about things is not the most beneficial. And I think that that is some stuff that can be changed at the policy level.
Right.
So the reason to run for office, outside of always wanting to, but believing that you can make a change at this level.
Right.
Because, of course, I can continue to work in the community. I don't have to be an elected official to do that. I could continue to speak out about things. I'm a whole poet. I can write you up real quick. You know what I'm talking about? See, wordplay.
Yeah.
But
The belt. Yeah.
I do have the belt. But if you do not feel that you can affect change at the policy level with a seat at the table, to have someone who looks and sounds like you there, why are you running? And I believe, at the policy level, some things could be implemented, or even, again, going back to those ordinances and the codes and things like that, there are codes that don't even get enforced. One, there may not be money to enforce them. So that's a budgetary issue. Again, at the budget level.
It's all connected.
It's all connected, right? So when you put out there an ordinance, it gets codified, and then even inside the code, okay, now how are we going to fulfill this? There has to be a plan to fulfill it. We can make all the crap we want to all day. How are we going to fulfill what we said and put on these books? There has to be a dollar amount allocated to it in order to make it what I call real. For example, I don't know what little municipality this was, but there used to be, and my ex-husband used to talk about all the time, the rule of thumb, to where you could hit your wife with anything your thumb or smaller and would not be considered assault. Rule of thumb. Anything bigger than that, it could be considered assault. Budget is allocated towards assault. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Budget is allocated towards public safety. So the rule of thumb is a real ordinance, because anything bigger than your thumb, you can be prosecuted. It's a public safety matter now. And that's something trivial, silly, like what the rule of thumb. And we used to joke like,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it.
but, I'm not even going to mention the other thing. Lord, the bridle on my tongue. I skip it. So, because we still have people out here getting prosecuted for poking. But, again.
I mean, it's out there. I mean, people are getting prosecuted for poking. Yeah.
Yeah, for poking people. I digress. But this rule of thumb, codified on the books, has money to enforce anything bigger than a thumb. There are things in our ordinances, and in every city. It's not just us. Every city, there's ordinances and things out there, but there is no money in the budget or no way to enforce it. So sometimes we're even missing out on funding as a city. Here's one example. Now you're supposed to have a permit to be a landlord. You're supposed to get a permit to be able to rent property to another person. It's not really enforced.
No.
They'll get me to line about the numbers. I could look it up about how many people are actually permitted rental agents. Basically, I'm gonna call them.
They call them rental agents now, landlords.
Landlords, whatever we're gonna call them. People who have these permits versus people who are out here just straight up renting houses to people. Whole plethora of money missing, right? However, and this is, it is actually, if I remember correctly, $20 per unit. So let's say, I got 5 units. Let's just be real. I got 5 units. That's $20 per unit. That's $100 plus another $20 to inspect the unit. That's $120 for codes, right?
It's making money.
No, we're not, because we don't enforce it.
Okay.
So when we're looking at the budgetary
But if
issues,
they did enforce it, that's the money that could be going in the pocket.
Right,
but they're not enforcing it.
Where's the money to enforce it? Where's the money to pay the people to enforce it?
It all connects.
Right, it all connects.
Wow.
So when you look at even the issues where KC Tenants is marching and yelling and speaking out about this, that, and the third, and landlord-tenant rights, and then you have the landlords and investors and people say, okay, well, when you say this, well, what does this mean for us? Are you telling me that we can't kick somebody out if they have legit done us wrong this way, da 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 da? Down the way of legislation, policy, ordinances, and things like that, things have to be in place to protect both sides. And there has to be money on the board to enforce it.
Exactly. Now, speaking of both sides, who are you? Please tell the constituents and the viewers and the listeners and the investors, because KUAW is, who are you running against? Who's your political opponent?
My opponent is, and I don't necessarily even want to call her an opponent, but she is in this manner, Melissa Robinson.
Okay.
And she is the current incumbent. She is the current 3rd District in-district incumbent, as I said before.
Okay. Now, KUAW Radio will reach out to Ms. Melissa Robinson
Absolutely.
to get her viewpoint as well, too, on the upcoming election, because we are nonpartisan, non-biased.
Have to be.
Yeah, station. But I just wanted everyone to know who you're running against, so people can know, who's all in the pool or whatnot, and also doing my due diligence as well too. Now, as far as the problems that we all discussed,
Yes.
in the district, what solutions do you have to remedy some of these problems?
So what was the number one? Because the first
said-
4 were not necessarily in any order. I just
Right.
put number 5 last.
I think
on
number one, I
purpose.
think you said was blight.
Yes, blight. There are
And
several.
tell people what blight is for some who don't know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Blight is, I was going to use a bigger word. I was going to say dilapidation. Well, blight is a serious issue where you see all these houses that are vacant, things broken down. Even, you can see cracks in your concrete. That's a part of blight as well. That adds to the general downtrodden look of certain areas.
Yes.
General poorness looking of certain areas, right? Inside of that blight, I'm thinking in real life, some of these houses, these abandoned and vacant houses, can really be used to provide permanent solutions for homelessness.
Yeah.
A lot of the houses that are sitting around are even owned by land bank. The land bank process should be easy. But I've heard several complaints about people trying to go through the process and being denied and not being able to get through it. And they are legitimately trying to buy a blighted property. And like I said, I'm able to do, they're trying to make something out of nothing. This thing that looks like nothing, it ain't got no lights, water, Jesus. It probably ain't got no walls inside. It's probably gutted out, but they gonna come in there and make something out of nothing. Some of the things that detract some of the investors even from coming in and doing things. And don't get me wrong, I have an issue with out-of-town investors who become slumlords. That's another reason why, hey, I'm going to need you to get them rental permits. We need some ordinances enforced, right, on that. But there are also investors who want to do right by their properties, who want to turn the dollar here. They're, angels, as you were. Some of these people don't want to participate in those processes because as soon as you buy the property, codes is coming out there to hit you with tickets about, oh, this isn't up to code.
Yeah.
Whoa. I've read stories and heard from people where they've gotten hit with codes violations, like, oh, you got brush down there on the side of your house, codes violation. You saw me outside cutting. Why are you see me doing, you see what I'm doing, things like this. It just has to be a better way,
Right.
to provide the level of enforcement required while yet allowing people the time and levity to get in to do the improvements necessary to make things livable.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now I'm glad you said that because we see these houses all over the city, and you
All
and you
over.
mentioned the the blight piece, and I remember looking on the news recently about this initiative to get these sidewalks fixed. And my son goes to school, I believe, in the 5th District. And as soon as they made the announcement about these sidewalks getting done, boom, I'm seeing them sidewalks getting knocked out over in this other district. I'm like, wow. You know, it just really messes me up how they distribute things and how they ignore certain things in other districts. And
I'm going to say it's not completely ignored, right?
Okay.
So the process for like even your sidewalks and things like that is a PIAC process, PIAC in Kansas City. And there's a certain amount of allocated funds within that budget. Citizens are able to, is that process even still open for 2023 to 2024? No, it's not. I think it's already closed. I would say go on there and look, though. But a lot of people, even at the neighborhood association block clubs, are looking at like, hey, we need lights. We need sidewalks. We want to put speed bumps on our street. We want to do this, that, and the other. You can actually apply for that. And then there's a committee that looks at the request and approves or denies the request. So even that is a process. We have to begin to report these things, even like what we're talking about. The biggest complaint in Kansas City, potholes. Lord have mercy, potholes. It plagues us all. There's no magical street that public servants are going to roll down that just don't have, it's just not going to happen like that. We all are plagued by this issue, but are we reporting them? Are we reporting the potholes? So even with that, the city has created this MyKC app. Put it on your phone. I have it now. I'll probably, let's say, bring it up. Let's see, Brandon's texting me. Okay, I'll answer that in a minute. I just opened up next door. Talk about being connected. Here we go. Okay, MyKC. All right. So it looks like, can y'all see?
They just see it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Hi, MyKC app. So if you go, let's say, big red exclamation point, report an issue. Bam. Animals and pets, bike lanes. 311 request update, health code violation, healthy homes, homeless camp, illegal dumping, land bank issues, lead poisoning prevention, parks and recreation, property violations, public safety, solid waste services, traffic concerns, traffic signals, on and on and on and on. You can put it in through the app.
That's amazing.
And have it automatically recorded. And they will report back to you. Now, for people who are not necessarily tech friendly, 311 still works. The blood still covers. Yeah. So 311 still works. But from the things that I've learned, I'm an advocate of using the app simply because, as it was told to me, when you put it in the app, it's automatically in the system. You automatically have that number. Whereas on 311, you're talking and corresponding, and you're relying on the human to take notes, which the humans who work at 311 are very qualified and able. But there's always room for human error. So you're relying on them to take your notes, and then you're receiving a number from them, and you're relying on that number to go in prayerfully with no technological glitches, this, that, and the other. This way, it's just a straight, we pass the middleman.
That's amazing. Now, Sherry, you were very insightful and very educational. I mean, like, purpose
Hey.
was for people to get to know you. And not only did people get to know you, you actually educated individuals too.
I mean, like doing that.
I mean, you told me things I didn't know. Like, for example, like with the whole app. Everyone has a cell phone. Well, I shouldn't say. Most people have a cell phone.
A smartphone.
And you just gave us a whole new world. I feel like I'm on a flying carpet over a city singing because you gave so much information.
The thing that I really want to promote is access granted. Access granted for a lot of times who are ignorant to the processes, as in not knowing. we don't feel like we have access to
Yes.
public officials. We feel like we don't have access to the information that we need. And then you hear someone, well, it's out there. Well, okay, how do I access
how?
it?
Yes, that's the how.
Hey, whatever I find out, I pass on whatever resources, because that's the world I come from. I help peers get what they need, period. That peer support is 85% advocacy. I'm an advocate, natural. So access granted, what you need.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, the question is, what do you need? Now, if someone wants to donate to your campaign or ask questions or say, hey, I want to volunteer, I want to put a sign in my yard, I want to make phone calls, I want to help you on your campaign, how can someone get a hold of your office in regards to?
Absolutely. Let us love on each other. My website is www.purposeforkc.com. That's PURPOSEFORKC.com. And that is the same thing kind of across channels. So if you wanted to Cash App, $ Purpose for KC. If you wanted to PayPal me PayPal.me/Purpose for KC. If you wanted to just go to my link tree and explore all the stuff I have up there, it's the link tree, Purpose for KC. For those of you who may not do all of that, like, hey, I just want to drop an email. Okay. electpurpose@gmail.com. electpurpose@gmail.com. Or the campaign phone number, 816-377. Oh, why did I just lose my own phone number out of my head? Hold on, please. But honestly, what I do need is people to participate, to help, to door knock, to make phone calls. I do need people to donate. Please donate, because when we go knock on the doors, we have to have literature to give people. We have to have yard signs to help people put in their yards, and in kind or income. If you know where I can get it printed, let me know. In kind. If you have income, come on through.
That's right.
Let me know. And I'm really easy to connect with. I'm on all social platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And that phone number, 816-388-0788. Whole phone number just left. I don't understand it.
It happens to me all the time. Hey, when's your birthday?
I'm here. I was born.
I'm right here. Yeah. Give me the gift now. But like, I really appreciate you for coming in. Like I said, I've been knowing Sherry for years, and when I mentioned coming on my broadcast to speak to her platform, she immediately said, yeah, I'm there. And I just want you to know that the door is always open.
Thank you.
KUAW does plan on sponsoring a candidate forum. So I want everyone to, stay tuned for that. This isn't the last time you're going to hear from the 3rd District candidate, because, like I said, KUAW is inside the W.D. Boys Learning Center, which is inside the 3rd District. So we're going to keep this going and keep you all up to date on what's going on. So 3rd District is your district. I mean, of course, we are concerned with every election, but the 3rd District is very important to KUAW Radio. So with that...
one last thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to thank everyone for their support, people who have been supporting me, who have been in the trenches. Thank you so much for people who are wanting to come on. Thank you. Come through, whatever information you have, whatever you need. Again, if I don't know it, I'll find it. If I can't find it, I can probably tell you who has it.
It's true. Definitely is true. And accessibility and integrity is definitely what we've seen here tonight. So, Sherry, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And, hopefully, this election goes in your favor. And I'm sure with the work you're putting in, you're going to get some favor out of this.
I'm prayerful about it.
Oh, yes.
We just going to keep on serving like we do, regardless of the outcome.
Amen. So, of course, you got all Sherry's information. This is a source of the Inkwell, Tyrone Gethers Jr., and my guest, Ms. Sherry Purpose Hall, who is running for
3rd District City Council in Kansas City.
I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to mess it up. But in the Inkwell, we support. And your support should be just like ink, let it overflow and stay permanent. God bless. See you next week.